They say money reveals character. I never believed it until the day I sat in my grandfather's lawyer's office, watching my family turn into strangers. My name is Harmony Dante, and this is the story of how $50 changed my entire life. The leather chair felt cold against my back. Around the mahogany table sat my father Richard, my brother Rome, my Aunt Patricia, Uncle Tom, and three cousins I barely recognized anymore. Everyone wore black, but their eyes gleamed with something that had nothing to do with grief. Grandfather Edward had died 2 weeks ago at 93. The man who built Dante Industries from a small hardware store into an empire worth $800 million. The man who taught me to play chess on rainy afternoons. The man everyone suddenly remembered they loved when the will reading was announced. Mr. K.O.'s, the family lawyer, adjusted his glasses. Let's begin. My father leaned forward. Rome cracked his knuckles. Aunt Patricia dabbed fake tears with a tissue that never touched her eyes. To my son Richard, I leave $10 million and the summer house in Martha's Vineyard. Dad's face remained neutral, but his jaw twitched. 10 million, not the company, not the main estate. To my grandson Rome, I leave $5 million and my collection of vintage cars. My brother grinned, already calculating. To my daughter Patricia, I leave $8 million and the property in Colorado. The reading continued. Cousins got millions. Uncle Tom got the yacht and $3 million. Even the housekeeper got $100,000. Then Mr. K.O.'s looked at me. And to my granddaughter Harmony. Everyone turned. Dad smirked. Rome actually laughed under his breath. I leave $50 cash. Silence. Then Rome burst out laughing. $50, that is it. Aunt Patricia whispered something to her daughter, both giggling behind their hands. Dad just smiled, that cold smile I had seen my whole life whenever I disappointed him. Well, Harmony, looks like Grandpa finally saw you for what you are. My face burned, my hands shook in my lap. Mr. K.O.'s cleared his throat. There is more. Miss Harmony is to receive the cash immediately, in person, from the safe in this office. The exact bills Mr. Dante specified. Exact bills, I whispered. Your grandfather was very particular. He set aside these specific bills months ago. No one cared. They were already arguing about who got what furniture, which paintings, whose name was on which property deed. I was invisible again, just like always. Mr. K.O.'s led me to a back room where an old safe sat in the wall. He spun the combination and pulled out a small envelope. Inside were 5 $10 bills, old ones, worn. I am sorry, Miss Dante, Mr. K.O. said quietly. I don't understand it either. I held back tears as I walked past my celebrating family. No one said goodbye. I drove home to my tiny apartment, the one Dad called that embarrassing closet, and threw the bills on my kitchen counter. $50. My grandfather had loved me. I knew he had. Those chess games, the stories he told, the way he listened when everyone else talked over me. Had I been wrong about everything? I picked up one of the bills, turning it under the light. That is when I saw it. A tiny mark in blue ink in the corner, almost invisible, a small star with the letter E inside. My breath caught. I grabbed the other bills. Every single one had the same mark, different positions but the same symbol. Grandpa Edward always signed his personal letters with a star, and an E. It was his thing, a secret signature between us. He used to mark the cards he hid around the house for our treasure hunt games when I was little. This wasn't random money. This was a message. The next morning, I walked into First National Bank downtown, the same bank Grandfather had used for 60 years. The teller smiled politely. How can I help you? I need to speak with the manager. It is about Edward Dante. Her smile froze. 1 moment, please. 5 minutes later, I sat across from James Moon, the bank manager. He was maybe 50, with kind eyes and careful hands. "You said this is about Edward Dante." I laid the 5 bills on his desk. "My grandfather left me these. They have his mark on them." Mr. Moon picked up one bill, looked closer. His face went completely white. "Oh my God," he whispered. "Where did you get these?" "His will. Why, what is wrong?" He stood up so fast his chair rolled back. "Miss Dante, it is Miss Dante, correct? Harmony." "Yes." "Please wait here. Don't move, don't leave." He practically ran from the room. My heart hammered. What was happening? 10 minutes passed, 15. I heard urgent voices outside the office, footsteps, a phone ringing. Then Mr. Moon returned with 2 other people, a woman in an expensive suit and an older man with silver hair. "Miss Dante," the woman said, "I am Victoria Wu, the regional director. This is Harold Blackwood, head of our private client division. We need to verify your identity." I showed them my driver's license, my credit cards, my birth certificate, which I had brought to handle post-death paperwork. They compared documents, whispered, made a phone call. Finally, Victoria Wu sat down across from me. "Miss Dante, these bills are markers. Your grandfather established a private trust 40 years ago under very specific conditions. Those conditions could only be activated by someone presenting these exact bills with his mark." "I don't understand." "These aren't just $50, Harold said quietly. They are keys." They led me to a private conference room. A thick folder appeared on the table. Victoria opened it carefully. "In 1985, your grandfather created the Harmony Trust, named for you even though you weren't born yet. He knew he would have a granddaughter named Harmony. He told us so." My grandmother had picked my name. She died when I was 2, but she had always loved music, harmony, peace. "The trust contains assets separate from his main estate," Harold continued. "Assets that could only be accessed by the person who presented these marked bills within 60 days of his death." "What kind of assets?" Victoria slid a paper toward me. I looked at the number. Looked again. That can't be right." $250 billion, Victoria confirmed. "Invested and grown over 40 years, plus properties in 3 states, a portfolio of stocks, bonds, and a controlling interest in 3 companies separate from Dante Industries." The room spun. "But why?" I whispered. "Why me? Why like this?" Harold's expression softened. "Your grandfather left a letter. He instructed us to give it to you when you came." He handed me an envelope, thick cream paper, my name in grandfather's shaky handwriting. I opened it with trembling hands. "My dearest Harmony, if you are reading this, you brought the $50 to the bank. Good girl. You were always the curious one, the careful one, the one who paid attention. I am sorry for the charade at the will reading. I am sorry your father and brother laughed. I am sorry the family treated you like you were nothing. But I had to know. I had to test them one final time. You see, darling, I have spent years watching my family become something I didn't recognize. Money poisoned them slowly. They stopped calling unless they needed something. Stopped visiting unless I was signing checks. Your father hasn't asked about my health in 5 years, only about my estate plans. But you, Harmony, you came every Sunday. You played chess with an old man who could barely remember the rules anymore. You listened to my boring stories. You asked about my day. You never once asked for money. The others got their millions. That is what they wanted, quick cash. They will spend it fast and remember me as a wallet. But you get the truth. You get the real inheritance. The trust is yours completely. No one can touch it. No one can contest it. I set it up before you were born, then it was unnamed while I searched the right person to give it to. I never knew whose it will belong to until you were born, until you grew, until your kind ways shone through. Then I know it was yours. I have been feeding it for decades. It is in your name alone. Use it wisely, use it kindly, and remember, family isn't blood. Family is who shows up, who stays, who loves you when there is nothing to gain. The $50 was never an insult. It was an invitation, a test, a treasure map for the only person I trusted to find the treasure. Be happy, my girl, be free, and don't let them take this from you. Forever your champion. Grandpa Edward. P.S. The house on Maple Street, the one where we played chess, is yours too. It is in the trust. I bought it in 2010 under a different name. Go there. Third floorboard from the window in the library. You will find one more thing. I couldn't stop crying. Victoria quietly pushed a box of tissues across the table. He was a brilliant man, she said softly. And he loved you very much. I didn't tell anyone for 3 days. I went to the Maple Street house, the beautiful Victorian where Grandpa had rented an office for years, except he had owned it all along. In the library, I pried up the third floorboard from the window. Inside was a small box. It contained my grandmother's wedding ring, a stack of letters she had written to me before she died, and a photo of the three of us, Grandpa, Grandma, and baby me. On the back, Grandpa had written, "This is your real inheritance, love, memory, proof you were wanted." I sobbed on that dusty floor for an hour. But then I dried my tears, put on my grandmother's ring, and made a decision. I called Mr. K.O.'s. "I need you to arrange a family meeting," I said. "Tell them Harmony has something to discuss about grandfather's estate. Tell them it is urgent." "Are you sure, Miss Dante?" "Completely sure." They came because they were curious and greedy. Dad, Rome, Aunt Patricia, Uncle Tom, 3 cousins, all gathered in Mr. K.O.'s conference room 5 days after the original will reading. "What is this about, Harmony?" Dad asked impatiently. "Some of us have things to do." "Yeah," Rome added. "Did you finally accept that Grandpa didn't think you were worth more than $50? Laughter rippled around the table. I sat calmly, Mr. K.O.'s beside me, Victoria Wu and Harold Blackwood flanking the door. "Actually," I said quietly, "I wanted to tell you all something about the $50. "Oh God," Aunt Patricia groaned. "Are you going to cry about it? It was a joke, honey. Edward probably forgot about you entirely." "He didn't forget. He planned very carefully." I slid a paper across the table, the trust document, the account statements. Dad picked it up. His face changed slowly, confusion, then shock, then something ugly. "What is this?" "That is my inheritance, my real inheritance, the one Grandpa set up 40 years ago." Rome grabbed the paper. $250 billion. This is fake." "It is very real," Victoria Wu said from the doorway. "I am the regional director of First National Bank. I can confirm every word is true." The room exploded. "That is impossible. There is no way. She is lying. This is fraud." Mr. K.O. stood. "Everyone, please. I can confirm that this trust exists and is legally binding. Edward Dante created it in 1985 and specified that only Harmony could access it by presenting 5 marked $10 bills from his personal safe." Dad's face turned purple. The $50, that was the key. "Correct." Rome slammed his fist on the table. "This is bullshit. He gave her everything." "He gave you $5 million, I said quietly, "and cars, and a life you didn't earn." "You don't deserve this," Aunt Patricia shrieked. "You are nobody. You have done nothing to be treated this special. You don't even have a career. You have always been the lazy one." "Maybe that is exactly why I deserved it," I said. "Because I love him deeply even when I had nothing to show. I didn't need his money to love him." Dad stood slowly. That dangerous calm that always came before his worst moments. You will share that money with this family. No. I am your father. That is my father's money. Your father gave you $10 million. He gave me what he wanted me to have. You ungrateful little. You have always been like your lazy mother who ran away. Don't, my voice cracked like ice. Don't you dare call me ungrateful. Where were you every Sunday for the last 10 years? Where were you when Grandpa had pneumonia, when he fell and broke his hip, when he forgot my name for 3 days and cried because he was scared? Silence. I was there, I continued. Every Sunday, every holiday, every hospital visit, not because I wanted money, because I loved him. Rome laughed bitterly. Oh, so you are the saint now. You manipulated a senile old man. He wasn't senile, Harold Blackwood said sharply. I met with Edward Dante every year for 40 years. His mind was sharp until the very end. He knew exactly what he was doing. Then why did he humiliate her? Aunt Patricia demanded. Why the $50 in front of everyone? Because he was testing all of you, I said. He wanted to see how you would react, how you would treat me when you thought I had nothing. The room went silent. And you all failed, I finished quietly. Every single one of you laughed, mocked me, whispered behind my back. You couldn't even pretend to be kind for 5 minutes. Dad's hand shook. This isn't over. Actually, it is. The trust is ironclad. Mr. KO's confirmed it. Victoria confirmed it. You can try to fight it, but you will lose. And you will waste the money Grandpa did give you on lawyer fees. You are going to regret this, Rome hissed. Am I? I don't think so. I think I am finally free. I stood up. You all got exactly what you wanted, millions of dollars. Spend it well. Buy nice things. Take trips. I genuinely hope it makes you happy. I walked toward the door. But don't call me. Don't text me. Don't show up at my apartment asking for loans or investments or family help. Because as of today, I don't have a family. I have people who share my DNA. That is not the same thing. Harmony, Dad started. Goodbye, Richard. I walked out. Behind me, the shouting started again. Threats, accusations, blame. I kept walking. For 2 weeks, silence. I moved out of my apartment into the Maple Street house. I hired a lawyer, not Mr. KO's, but someone Grandpa had recommended in his letters. Someone who specialized in protecting trusts from family challenges. I changed my phone number. I started therapy. And I began to breathe. But then the messages started. My father showed up at the Maple Street house at 7 a.m. on a Tuesday. I watched from the second-floor window as he pounded on the door. Harmony, open up, we need to talk. I didn't move. He pounded for 20 minutes before leaving. Then came the emails from Rome. Dad's business is failing. We need a loan. $2 million you owe us. From Aunt Patricia. You are tearing this family apart. Grandpa would be ashamed of you. From cousins I barely knew. Just give us $1 million each. You have so much, don't be selfish. The worst was from my father. I raised you, fed you, clothed you. You owe me everything you have. If you don't help your family, you are dead to me. I showed the messages to Dr. Sarah Kim, my new therapist. What do you want to do? She asked. I want them to stop. Then you need to set a boundary, a real one, and stick to it no matter what. I hired a publicist, a security team, a business manager. Then I did something I never thought I would do. I held a press conference. Small, just local news, but enough. I sat in front of cameras and told a carefully edited version of the truth. My grandfather Edward Dante left me a trust he created before I was born. Some family members are now claiming I manipulated him or that the inheritance should be shared. I want to be clear. The trust is legal, binding, and was created when I was an infant. I could not have influenced its creation. My grandfather made his choices with full mental capacity, and I will honor his wishes. Furthermore, I am establishing the Harmony Dante Foundation to support causes my grandfather cared about: education, elder care, and supporting young people aging out of foster care. Half of the trust's annual earnings will go to this foundation. I loved my grandfather. I miss him every day. And I won't let anyone, family or otherwise, dishonor his memory by turning his final wishes into a circus. I won't be taking questions about family members or specific amounts. Thank you. The story hit local news, then regional, then somehow it went viral. People connected with it. The underestimated grandchild, the secret inheritance, the family greed, the test. Suddenly, everyone had an opinion. Some called me selfish, most called me brave. The publicity did one thing for certain: it made contesting the will much harder. Everything was now public, watched. My family couldn't quietly pressure me anymore. 3 weeks after the press conference, my brother showed up drunk at the Maple Street house. My security team stopped him at the gate, but I heard him screaming, "You ruined my life. Dad's business is bankrupt. He is losing the house. This is your fault." I watched from the camera feed, something cold settling in my chest. It wasn't my fault. None of this was my fault. Dad had run his business into the ground through bad decisions long before Grandpa died. Rome had expensive tastes and no financial sense. Aunt Patricia had 3 divorces and a shopping addiction. Their problems weren't new. They were just newly unable to run to Grandpa for bailouts. I called my lawyer. I want restraining orders. Father, brother, aunt, the cousins who have been harassing me online, all of them. That is extreme harmony. They showed up drunk at my home screaming threats. That is extreme. Fair point, I will file tomorrow. Of course they sued. Dad, Rome, and Aunt Patricia filed a joint lawsuit claiming undue influence on them, mental incompetence of the handling the deceased wealth, fraud, breach of fiduciary duty. It was garbage. Every lawyer who looked at the case said so. But it dragged me through hell for 8 months. Depositions where Dad's lawyer asked horrible questions. Didn't you isolate Mr. Dante from his family? No, they stopped visiting him. Isn't it true you convinced him? You were the only one who cared. I didn't have to convince him. I showed up. They didn't. You are claiming you never once asked your grandfather for money. That is exactly what I am claiming. Not once, not for college, not for rent. Not once. The lawyer's face tightened, because he had already deposed my grandfather's caretakers, his doctors, his friends. Every single one confirmed. Harmony never asked for anything. The others asked constantly. The case fell apart in court. The judge, a sharp woman named Judith Morrison, read the entire trust document, reviewed Grandpa's medical records, and listened to testimony from Mr. K.O.'s, Victoria Wu, and Harold Blackwood. Then she looked at my father, brother, and aunt. Mr. Dante created this trust in 1985, when the plaintiff wasn't born. He made regular contributions for 40 years. He was evaluated by 3 independent doctors in his final year and found mentally competent. He explicitly stated his intentions to multiple witnesses. She closed the folder. The court finds no evidence of undue influence, incompetence, or fraud. The trust stands as written. Case dismissed. Furthermore, the court finds this lawsuit frivolous and orders the plaintiffs to pay the defendants' legal fees. Dad's face went gray. Rome stormed out. Aunt Patricia burst into tears. I felt nothing, just tired. One person didn't sue me. Emma, my youngest cousin. She was 23, fresh out of college, and had gotten $500,000 in the will. 2 months after the lawsuit ended, she called me. "Harmony, it is Emma. Can we talk?" "I don't think that is a good idea." I know, I understand, but I wanted to say I am sorry for all of it. I was silent. I laughed at the will reading, Emma continued, her voice cracking. I thought it was funny, you getting $50, I was so stupid, so mean. Why are you calling, Emma? Because you were right about everything. The money didn't make anyone happy. Mom's already spent most of hers. My brothers are fighting over investments. Your dad and Rome, they are drowning. That is not my problem. I know, God, I know, I am not asking for money. I wanted you to know that I see it now. What Grandpa was trying to teach us, and I am ashamed. I closed my eyes. Emma, I can't. I don't want your forgiveness. I don't deserve it. I just wanted you to know that at least one person in this family finally understands what you always knew. Money doesn't mean anything if you lose yourself to get it. She hung up before I could respond. I sat in the quiet house and cried for the first time in months. I poured myself into the Harmony Dante Foundation. We funded scholarships for kids aging out of foster care. We built a community center with free programs for elderly people living alone. We started a financial literacy program teaching people how to manage money, something I learned the hard way my own family never understood. The work was hard, endless, but it felt right. One day I met a girl named Sophia, 17, about to age out of the system, scared. I don't know how to be an adult, she admitted during our interview for a scholarship. I don't know how to pay bills or cook or anything. Neither did I at 17, I told her, but you will learn and you won't be alone. She got the scholarship, full ride to state college, plus housing support, a meal plan, and a mentor. 6 months later, she sent me a photo. She in her dorm room, smiling, textbooks spread out on her desk. First A on a college exam. Thank you for believing in me. That photo went on my desk at the foundation office. It meant more than all the money in the trust. One morning, a young woman walked into the foundation office. She was 19, nervous, clutching an application. Hi, she said softly. I am here about the scholarship. Of course, come in. I am Harmony. I know who you are. I read about you, about your grandfather, about the test. It is quite a story. It gave me hope, she said. I aged out of foster care last year. I am working 3 jobs. I want to go to college, but I can't afford it. When I read about the foundation, about how you help people like me, I thought maybe I had a chance. I smiled. What is your name? Grace. Grace, that is beautiful. Tell me about yourself. She talked for an hour, about growing up in the system, about foster homes that didn't work out, about a social worker who believed in her, about dreams of becoming a nurse. I listened the way Grandpa had always listened to me, really listened, paying attention, caring. When she finished, I said, Grace, I am approving your scholarship today. Full tuition, housing stipend, meal plan, and a mentor to help you navigate everything. Her face went blank with shock. Today, but don't you need to review it, check my grades, interview me more. I just did, and I already know you're going to be amazing. She burst into tears. I handed her tissues and sat with her while she cried the way Victoria Wu had sat with me 6 years ago when I learned about the trust. Why, Grace finally asked, you don't even know me. Because someone once gave me a chance, and because showing up matters. You showed up today. That tells me everything I need to know. After Grace left, clutching her acceptance letter and crying happy tears, I sat at Grandpa's desk and looked at the photo of us. I get it now, I told him. The $50 was never about the money. It was about teaching me that the smallest things can change everything. That tests aren't always cruel. That love looks like believing in people when they can't believe in themselves. I opened my laptop and started drafting a new program proposal. A mentorship initiative pairing scholarship recipients with successful professionals who had also aged out of foster care. A year after Grandpa died, I got a letter. Real mail, handwritten from my father. I almost threw it away. But something made me open it. Harmony. I know you won't believe this, but I am sorry. Not because the lawsuit failed, not because I need money, but because I finally understand what Dad was trying to tell me. I was a terrible father. I made you feel small because you were Rome, weren't ambitious, weren't loud, weren't everything I wanted you to be. But the truth is, you were exactly what Dad valued most. Kind, present, real. I am losing everything. The business is gone. The house is in foreclosure. Rome won't speak to me because he blames me for his problems. But that is not why I am writing. I am writing because last week I drove past the old hardware store where Dad started his business. It is a coffee shop now, and I sat in my car and cried because I realized I never once asked him what it was like to build that business, what he was proud of, what scared him. I only ever asked what it was worth. You knew him, really knew him, and I am jealous, not of the money, of the 60 minutes you got with him every Sunday that I threw away. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't deserve contact. I just wanted you to know that you were right about all of it. And I am sorry. Richard. I read it 3 times. Then I put it in a drawer and didn't respond. Maybe someday I would, maybe not. But I didn't owe him closure just because he finally felt guilty. I found family in unexpected places. Dr. Kim, my therapist, became a trusted advisor. Victoria Wu invited me to lunch regularly, not for business, just to talk. Emma reached out again. Careful, respectful, we met for coffee. It was awkward but honest. I am trying to be better, she said. Mom's mad I even talk to you, but I don't care. You are the only person in this family who actually acts like family. You sued me, Emma. No, Mom did. I was listed on the paperwork, but I didn't want any part of it. I told them it was wrong. Then why didn't you call sooner? She looked down. Because I was scared you would hate me, and I wouldn't have blamed you. We met for coffee once a month after that. Small steps, no pressure. I also befriended Sophia and other scholarship recipients. They became like younger siblings, texting me about exams, asking advice, celebrating victories. One evening, Sophia called me crying. What's wrong? Nothing's wrong, she sobbed. I just got an internship at a law firm, a paid one, and I am going to make it, Harmony. I am actually going to make it. Of course you are, I said, smiling through my own tears. You always were. That night I realized something. Blood doesn't make family. Showing up does. Caring does. Being there when it is hard, that is what makes family. Grandpa knew that. And now finally so did I. 2 years after Grandpa died, I went to his grave for the first time. I had avoided it, too painful, too raw. But on the anniversary of his death, I drove to the cemetery with flowers and a letter I had written. His headstone was simple. Edward James Dante. 1930-2024. Family is who shows up. I sat on the grass and read my letter aloud. Dear Grandpa, thank you. Thank you for the chess games. Thank you for seeing me when everyone else looked past me. Thank you for the test, even though it hurt. You were right about everything. The money revealed exactly who everyone was. Dad's proud and broken. Rome is bitter and lost. Aunt Patricia is still spending money she doesn't have. But Emma's trying, she is learning, and I'm trying to forgive. The foundation is thriving. We have helped 300 kids so far. 300 kids who felt invisible just like I did. 300 kids who now have a chance. I wear Grandma's ring every day. I sleep in the Maple Street house. I read the letters she wrote me before she died. I am not lonely anymore, Grandpa. I have people who care about me, really care, not because of money but because of who I am. That is your real gift, not the trust. The trust is just paper and numbers. Your real gift was teaching me that I was worth showing up for, that I was worth loving, that I didn't have to earn my place in someone's life. I miss you. I miss our Sundays. I miss your terrible jokes and your stubborn chess strategies. But I am okay. I am more than okay. I am free. Love always. Harmony. I placed the flowers on his grave and whispered, "Thank you for the $50, Grandpa." A breeze rustled through the trees, and for just a moment I swore I heard his laugh. 3 years in, the foundation faced a big decision. We had been offered a partnership with a major corporation. They would match our funding, double our impact, but they wanted control over which programs we supported. The board was divided. "Think of the good we could do," one board member argued. "Twice the scholarships, twice the centers." "But we would lose our independence," another countered. "They would control our mission." Everyone looked at me. I thought about Grandpa, about the trust, about the test. "We say no," I said firmly. "But harmony." "No, the foundation exists because Grandpa valued integrity over profit. He could have made more money cutting corners, treating people like numbers. He didn't. Neither will we. We are turning down millions. We are keeping our soul. We will find another way to grow." The vote was unanimous. 6 months later, a different organization approached us, smaller, mission-aligned, asking for partnership instead of control. We said yes, and the foundation tripled its impact within a year. Sometimes the right choice is the hard choice. Grandpa taught me that. 4 years after the will reading, I ran into Rome at a grocery store. He looked awful, thin, tired, older than his 38 years. We stared at each other across the produce section. He started to walk away, then stopped. "Harmony. Rome. You look good." "Thanks." Silence. I am sorry," he said finally. "For all of it, the laughing, the lawsuit, the things I said." "Okay. That is it, just okay." "What do you want me to say, Rome? That it is fine? It is not fine. You treated me like garbage because you thought I was worthless." His face crumpled. "I know, God, I know. But I forgive you," I added quietly. "Not because you deserve it, but because I am tired of carrying anger." He wiped his eyes. "The money's gone. Dad's business took most of it. The rest I wasted. I am working at a call center now." "I am sorry to hear that. I am not asking for help. I know. I just wanted you to know that you were right about everything, and I wish I had been different." I studied my brother, this stranger who shared my blood, and felt something shift. "Do you want to get coffee sometime?" I asked. His head snapped up. "Really?" "Maybe, no promises, but maybe." "I would like that." We exchanged numbers. He left. I stood in the produce section holding a bag of apples and crying. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting, but it does mean letting go. 5 years after Grandpa died, I stood in front of 300 people at the Foundation's annual gala. Sophia stood beside me, now a law student about to graduate at the top of her class. "5 years ago," I said into the microphone, "I learned that inheritance isn't always money. Sometimes it is values. Sometimes it is lessons. Sometimes it is proof that you were loved." My grandfather gave me a test. He gave me $50 and watched to see what I would do. I took those bills to a bank and discovered a trust, but the real trust wasn't money. It was the knowledge that he believed in me, that he saw me, that he knew I would use whatever I had to help others. Tonight, we celebrate 300 scholarship recipients, 7 community centers, 20 financial literacy programs, and 100 foster care support initiatives. But more than that, we celebrate the idea that family isn't blood. Family is showing up. Family is caring when it costs you something. Family is believing in people when the world tells them they are not enough. My grandfather's legacy isn't in a bank account. It is in every person here tonight who decided to show up for themselves, for each other, for a stranger who needed help. That is the inheritance that matters. And I cherish the lesson this has taught both I and my biological family. The room erupted in applause. Sophia hugged me, crying, "You changed my life." "No," I whispered back. "You changed your own life. I just believed in you." Later that night, Emma found me on the balcony. "That was beautiful harmony. Thanks for coming." "I wouldn't miss it." She hesitated. "Mom's here." I tensed. "Patricia?" "Yeah, she is in the back." She didn't want to cause a scene, but she wanted to see, to understand. "What do you want me to do?" "Nothing, just know that she is trying. She is in therapy. She's working on herself. She knows she can't undo the past, but she is trying to be better." I looked out at the city lights. That is all any of us can do, I guess. Emma squeezed my hand and left me alone with my thoughts. 6 years after the will reading, I returned to the Maple Street house after a long day at the foundation. The house felt like home now, warm, safe, full of memories, old ones with Grandpa, new ones with friends, family I chose, and people who loved me for who I was, not what I had. I made tea and sat in the library where Grandpa and I used to play chess. The board was still there, set up exactly as we had left it in our final game. My phone buzzed, a text from my father. "I saw the gala coverage online. The foundation is incredible. You are incredible. I know I don't have the right to say this, but I am proud of you." I stared at the message for a long time. Then I typed back, "Thank you, that means something." Not everything, but something. Another text came through, "Rome. Coffee next week, my treat. Well, cheap coffee, I am still broke, but I want to hear about the foundation." I smiled, "Deal, Tuesday at 2. "Perfect." Then Emma, "Mom asked if she could write you a letter. No pressure, just wanted you to know." She consented. "I will read it when I am ready." "Fair enough, love you, cuz." "Love you too." I set down my phone and looked around the room, at Grandma's ring on my finger, at the photo of the three of us on the wall, at the chessboard that held 1,000 memories. The doorbell rang. I opened it to find Sophia standing there with a bottle of cheap champagne and a huge grin. "I passed the bar exam," she screamed. I pulled her into a hug as she jumped up and down. "I knew you would. I am officially a lawyer, a real actual lawyer. Come in, we are celebrating." She followed me to the kitchen. I brought terrible champagne because I am still poor. The best kind. We popped the bottle and poured it into coffee mugs because I still hadn't bought proper champagne glasses. "To Grandpa Edward," Sophia said, raising her mug. "Who taught you that real inheritance is believing in people?" "To Grandpa Edward," I echoed. We drank, and Sophia told me about the job offer she had received from a nonprofit law firm, how she would be helping other foster kids navigate the legal system, how she wanted to make a difference the way someone had made a difference for her. Later, after she left, I sat alone in the quiet house. I thought about the will reading 6 years ago, the humiliation, the $50, the laughter. I thought about how it had felt like the end of everything. But it had been the beginning of understanding my worth, the beginning of finding real family, the beginning of learning that the best inheritance isn't what you are given, it is what you do with it. I walked to Grandpa's old desk and pulled out the original envelope that had held the $50. I had kept it all these years. On the back, in his handwriting, was one more note I had never noticed before. The treasure was never the destination. It was who you became while searching for it. I pressed the envelope to my heart and whispered, "I understand now, Grandpa. Finally, I understand." 7 years later, epilogue. The Maple Street house had become the foundation's headquarters. The library where Grandpa and I played chess was now the meeting room. His old desk was mine now. I was 42 years old, still single by choice, still focused on work that mattered. The foundation had helped over 5,000 young people. We had opened centers in 12 states. We had changed lives. And I had changed too. I was having coffee with Rome once a week now. Real conversations, honest ones. He had gone back to school, was training to be a doctor. He had never be rich again, and he was okay with that. Turns out, he told me once, I am happier making 100,000 a year and actually helping people than I ever was making millions and wasting it and helping no one. Emma worked for the foundation now, director of programs. She was brilliant at it, compassionate, careful with money in a way the rest of our family never learned. My father and I had lunch once a month, awkward lunches, sometimes painful, but we were trying. He had apologized 100 times. I had forgiven him 77 times. We were working on it. Aunt Patricia sent cards on holidays, brief, careful. We weren't close, but we weren't enemies. That was enough. My phone rang. Sophia's name appeared on the screen. Hey, Soph. Harmony, I have news. I am getting married. I squealed like a teenager. What? Tell me everything. She told me about the proposal, about her fiancé, a fellow lawyer she had met at a conference, about how she had never thought she would have this, a career she loved, a partner who respected her, a life she had built herself. Will you be my maid of honor? She asked. Are you serious? Of course. After we hung up, I sat back in my chair and laughed. This was the inheritance Grandpa had really given me. Not money, not property, not stocks or bonds or trust funds. He had given me the understanding that real wealth is measured in changed lives, in second chances, in showing up, in believing people into their better selves. The $50 had been a test, but it was also an invitation. An invitation to see that I was worth more than I thought, to understand that inheritance isn't about what you receive, it's about what you give, to learn that family isn't blood, it is presence, it is care, it is love in action. I had passed the test, but more importantly, I had learned the lesson. And now I got to spend the rest of my life teaching it to others. I pulled out a piece of paper and wrote a letter. Dear Grandpa, 6 years later, and I am still learning from you. I met a girl named Grace. She reminded me of me, scared, hopeful, convinced she wasn't enough. I gave her a scholarship, but more than that, I gave her what you gave me, the knowledge that someone believes in her. The foundation is thriving. Rome is practicing medicine. Emma runs programs. Sophia's getting married. Dad and I are learning to be family again. The $50 changed everything, not because of what they unlocked, but because of what they taught me. Thank you for the test. Thank you for the trust. Thank you for believing that I was the one person in the family who would understand what really matters. You were right, Grandpa, about all of it. Family is who shows up. Inheritance is what you do with it. And love, real love, looks like believing in people when they need it most. I am showing up, every day, for Grace, for Sophia, for everyone who walks through our doors feeling invisible. Because you showed up for me. And that made all the difference. With love and gratitude. Your Harmony. I folded the letter, put it in an envelope, and placed it in the drawer with all the others I had written him over the years. Then I looked at the chess board. On impulse, I moved a piece, completing the game we had never finished. Checkmate, Grandpa, I whispered, you won. But really, we both had. The end. Educational values from this story. 1. True wealth isn't money. The story teaches that real richness comes from relationships, character, and the positive impact we have on others, not from bank accounts. 2. Character is revealed in testing. How people treat you when they think you have nothing shows their true nature. Tests aren't always cruel, sometimes they're protective. 3. Family is chosen, not just born. Blood relations don't automatically make someone family. Real family shows up consistently, loves without conditions, and cares when it costs them something. 4. Presence is the greatest gift. Simply being there, showing up regularly, listening, caring, matters more than grand gestures or expensive presents. 5. Forgiveness is for you, not them. Forgiving others doesn't excuse their behavior. It frees you from carrying anger and bitterness that only hurts yourself. 6. Boundaries are healthy and necessary. Saying no to toxic people, even family, isn't selfish. It's self-preservation. Protecting your peace is not only acceptable, it's essential. 7. Money reveals character, doesn't create it. Sudden wealth exposes who people already are. It doesn't corrupt good people or redeem bad ones. It just amplifies existing traits. 8. Helping others multiplies your inheritance. The most meaningful legacy is how many lives you improve. What you give away comes back as purpose, connection, and fulfillment. 9. Self-worth must come from within. Your value isn't determined by what others give you or think about you. You are enough, exactly as you are. 10. Second chances are possible, but not mandatory. People can change and grow. You can choose to witness that growth while maintaining boundaries. Reconciliation doesn't mean returning to old patterns. 11. Small acts have big consequences. $50, a marked bill, a weekly visit, small consistent actions compound into life-changing impacts. 12. Integrity over convenience. Making the right choice, like refusing corporate money that compromises your mission, often means short-term sacrifice for long-term authenticity. 13. Listen to people who feel invisible. Everyone has a story. Real listening, without judgment, agenda, or distraction, is a radical act of love that changes lives. 14. You can't buy time back. Money can buy many things, but not another conversation with someone who's gone. Prioritize presence while people are still here. 15. The best revenge is living well. Not spending energy proving others wrong, but investing it in becoming your best self and helping others do the same. This story reminds us that inheritance isn't about what we receive. It is about what we become, who we help, and how we choose to show up when it matters most. Dear viewers, if you are enjoying our videos, please hype them up. Use the hype feature to give us some points, so the algorithm can push us up the dashboard and increase our visibility. Thank you so much for your support. Yours sincerely, the Firelight Bearer.
Dear viewers, welcome to our brand new channel, bringing you fresh billionaire romance stories filled with love, drama, and twists to keep you entertained. Every story is carefully created to give you the maximum excitement you've been looking for. We are working really hard to bring these stories to life for you, so please, don't just watch, help us grow by subscribing to our channel. And don't forget to click the bell icon so you never miss a single story. Sit back, relax, and let us entertain you. Thank you for your support. Your Firelight Bearer. Sparkles.